Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Juanjo. How are you, Juanjo?
Hello, good morning. Pretty good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me again to the podcast.
No worries. We like to keep you busy, and I think it's actually I think you've been 3 or 4 times in the podcast, but I think this is the first one we do it in English together.
Let's see, it's gonna be fun, I'm sure.
Yeah. Someone from Galicia and someone from Cádiz speaking in English, recording a podcast in English. It's probably good fun.
To interview somebody French.
Exactly. Yeah, and the French person is Alex Berriche of Fleet. How are you, Alex?
Very good. Thanks a lot for having me.
No worries. Thanks for being here. Alex, what is Fleet? What's like the 1 or 2 minute pitch of what you guys do at Fleet?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. So at Fleet, we simplify equipment management and renewal of all IT assets and furniture for companies. We focus on startup and SMBs, and we simplify their life through a device as a service solution. So they pay monthly turnkey fee, no? And they have then a computer with insurance, warranty, a SaaS to manage all assets of the company. So this is what we do. Like we simplify the life of all equipment for companies.
So all equipment means like computers, and for all the way from computers to like furniture and stuff like that. Tables, chairs.
Yeah, exactly. Mainly computers, but also phones, tablets, accessories like AirPod, screens, furniture, phone booth, any assets that you need to pay expensively. And so you can, spread the monthly payment over time and keep your cash, and then have a lot of service around to simplify your life also.
Cool. So we get into the... Go ahead, Juanjo, sorry.
No, I was going to start. When did you start the business, and why did you decide to go for that?
Yeah, so I started the business in 2019, like 5 years ago. And I decided to go for that because I used to work in another startup before called Ironhack, a Spanish one. And when I was there, I realized, there were some solutions for banking, for startup and SMBs like Conto. There were some solutions for insurance like Alan or Payfeed or Personio for payrolls, but there were nothing for IT equipment. So I thought, maybe there's a space to build something in this category, and try to reflect. I realized also when I was there, like, we used to behave like we were a consumer, no? Like not like a proper business on this topic, no? So we were buying computer directly from Apple Store. We have 0 warranty, 0 insurance, 0 MDM, 0 SaaS to know which employee has what. So we were like, basically like B2C, no? So I thought, okay, maybe there is a space to build a solution for small and medium companies before they have like an IT team inside. To simplify their life, no?
And how did you? And what's your story, Alex? How did you end up in the startup world? You mentioned Ironhack, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean you're French, obviously, and you studied business. But how do you end up in this world?
Yeah, so I start my career in private equity, but pretty fast I realized, I was more attracted to build stuff and more operation stuff. So I decided to quit and go to...
How long were you in private equity for?
Just 1 year.
Just 1 year. You had enough in 1 year.
Yeah, I had enough.
Enough of the dark side.
And then I thought, okay, let's go to startup. So back then I discovered Rocket Internet. So I decided to go. I was there for 2 years in North Africa. I was working for Jumia. It's like some Amazon for Africa.
What year was this?
It
the
was
Rocket Internet?
2014, 2015.
So it was the heydays of Rocket Internet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
what happened to them? Do you have any idea? Because they make
Internet?
they make a lot less noise these days.
Yeah, I think they almost think they almost stopped building companies. I mean, they completely stopped, I think, building companies. So first, they were doing, some sort of incubator, so building some companies. And then they stopped this. They became a venture fund called GFC, Global Founder Capital.
Yeah.
And even this, I think they've been slowing down a lot. So yeah, I think now they are more, less active on everything now. Like,
it's interesting because
entrepreneurial and investing now.
Yeah, because they made a ton of noise back in the day, and they obviously created some very big companies, Zalando and many others. And there was always this debate about the copycat thing and all of this kind of stuff. But I guess that, and you're probably an example of this. I mean, it was probably a good school for a lot of people to get some startup experience, and then gone on to build companies. I've never seen anything written about this, but there's probably a very large Rocket Internet mafia all around Europe these days building stuff.
Yes, there is a very, very large one, for sure. There's a very large one. I think if you step back, I think it was one of the pivotal moments of Europe, I think, where before that, talents used to go more in investment banking, private equity, consulting, and then they move more to startup now. And I think Rocket Internet accelerates this shift.
And Jumia was trying to build the Amazon of Northern Africa. Is that what you said?
It was Amazon of all Africa, and myself I was more focusing on North Africa.
And what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. No, like they gave you a lot of responsibility. So I was head of operation for North Africa at 23 or 24. Then I was managing director for Tunisia for 1 year, at 24, I think. So yeah, it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of learnings. It was pretty intense. It was a lot of up and downs now in the company. So you have to hire a lot of people and fire a lot of people. So it was not especially very well managed, I would say. Like, it was really chaotic, but in the sense it was some accelerated learning curve of what all the stuff you need to see as an entrepreneur later, no? Like hiring, firing, looking at data, go to market, building operations. So I think I learned a lot, on some positive stuff and negative stuff also. Like I took some learning on. Also,
what was the negative stuff?
I think the culture was not especially right always. How they treat people in terms of human resources. So I don't think. I think it's some learnings that some stuff I didn't want to replicate in the startup I built myself, but at the same time, it was interesting also to observe it.
Yeah. And then after Jumia came Ironhack?
Yeah, after Jumia came Ironhack, exactly. So after Jumia, I asked myself one first time, should I launch a startup already? I went to Le Wagon, which is a competitor of Ironhack, to study and to learn how to code, to take a small break. And then I hesitated to launch something, but decided to join Ironhack.
And what did you do there? With
so at Ironhack at first I was
Gonzalo,
Gonzalo Manrique. So at first I was a launcher for Paris. I launched Paris City, and then I became some head of expansion. So I launched Paris, Berlin, Mexico, Sao Paulo, Amsterdam, and so on. And at the end I was more COO, so I was managing all campus and all global operations. And it was very exciting. No? So when I joined, they were doing like 2 million revenue in 3 cities. And when I left, we were 20 employees. And when I left, we were like almost 200 in 10 cities, doing 20 million revenue. So it was very.
I guess it was like a great experience of growth, and also having the opportunity to work alongside with Gonzalo Manrique. It's really. I don't know how to describe him, but I would say like pure energy to be politically correct. One of the people that I know that way from here, I send him like a very, very warm hello. It's a friend, but yes, it's a very energetic guy to work with. I guess you had the chance also to learn a lot from
Yeah,
this
I
culture of
learned a lot.
communication.
Yeah, I learned a lot there from him, from his co-founder Ariel. And yeah, they gave me also a lot of responsibility pretty fast. And it was a very exciting phase of growth, as you say. We grew from 3 city to 9 city in just 2 years. So it was very exciting, and I learned a lot on stuff that I didn't learn at Rocket Internet. No, I learned, like how to build a proper culture, how to build a good brand, how to think more long term and not just be short term on KPI, but be long term. So this is very important if you want to be a CEO one day. No, like you strategy and long term are even more important than execution short term.
Yeah.
And how long were you at Ironhack, all in all?
2 years.
2 years.
Exactly.
And obviously, so Jumia probably raised a ton of money. Ironhack also raised money. And then, as you mentioned, Alex, you decided to bootstrap Fleet. So talk to us about that decision. Why bootstrap? And then, I mean, you bootstrap the company, but on the other hand, you're a super active business angel. So talk us a bit about that and why you made that decision.
Yes, so I made this decision because I was, when I start Fleet, I realized, how can I say, like we had very good unit economics, and so we didn't need to fundraise basically. So I mean, it was not philosophical. It was not a decision of I never want to raise. I'm against raising. I think sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it's very bad. I think some business should raise, some business shouldn't. I think Fleet was in between, no? Like it was, we could have raised, we could have not raised, and we decided to not do it. Because at the end of the day, we are, there's some ups in our business. We don't have we are not a SaaS. We don't have 90% gross margin. We don't have recurring revenue. But we have very nice cash flow. We receive upfront cash flow. So it's important to stay disciplined on unit economic, to stay disciplined on cash flow. And I think raising sometimes can make you think you can lose discipline, and you pay it at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't regret this choice.
And you never had the debate, at least to consider that, just to the usual things to accelerate growth or whatnot. I guess like you, even though being bootstrapped, you had like a very healthy growth, but maybe at some point you could have said, okay, maybe why not doubling on this? Why? So how was this decision? Or there was not really decision.
Yeah, so we thought some time of it, and then we realized, we can almost finance everything ourselves.
Cool.
Yep, basically. No, so you see, like we open in Spain, we open in Germany, we open in the UK. We are thinking of opening more countries.
How many markets are you currently working? Currently,
we are in 4 today, but
4 today,
but soon more. Yeah.
And you mentioned. Let's get into the business and to understand the business a bit better. So you mentioned unit economics and gross margin a couple of times. So how does the business really work?
Yeah, of course. So basically, let's say Ironhack want to get one computer from Fleet. They put an order on a Fleet website, and then we, through API directly, we ask some financial partners like BNP, Société Générale, Grenke,
banks, basically, right?
Banks or some, like a pure player of leasing. So we ask them, can you finance Ironhack for 4 computer at 2k euro or 5 computer at 2,000 euro each, so 10,000 euros order.
And in order to do that, Alex, you need the financial information of Ironhack. right?
No, I mean, like
Oh
there
no,
is
you take the
already.
risk. Okay.
No, the financial partner usually have some access to some database with a lot of
Okay.
information already. So they say, okay, to finance 10,000 euros. And also there is a collateral of having some asset in France. No, so the bank, like give some debt against owning the asset of computers. So for the bank, it's not too risky. So they lend 10k euros. As soon as we have the agreement, which is like in 1 minute, Ironhack can sign the contract. So it's a three-party contract between us, the bank, and the client. And then when we have the contract signed, we ask some supplier to ship it. So we don't own some inventory. We don't have some warehouse. We don't have inventory. We ship
You never
on
touch the
demand.
computers, basically,
We
or
never touch
whatever.
the computer. We don't have inventory. We don't have assets. No, so we are very asset light. Then like the company receives the computer, start paying back to the bank. But as soon as they receive the computer, we get paid by the bank all the contracts. So we receive the money for 3 years contract upfront. No, so we receive all cash. We don't receive it monthly. We receive it directly. No, so then we have a very strong cash flow
So
profile.
you close a deal and then you receive the cash. Very well. That's very nice.
Exactly. Yeah, we receive like all months payments upfront. No, and then we pay the computer to the suppliers. We pay a few stuff. No, but
And what happens when problems arise? Computer gets broken, computers gets stolen, name it. What's your
yeah.
role on that?
So if some problem happen, it depends, no, case by case, no. So if computer gets stolen, we have some insurance for the client, so it's the insurance involved. If broken, it depends if it's if it's under warranty or if it's broken by someone. No, if it's by someone, it's insurance. If it's under warranty, we buy the warranties to the suppliers, so we externalize both. No, so us, we are like some sort of middle player between a lot of partners, no, like suppliers, banks, insurance, some guys that repairs, all this MDM, no, and we connect everything in a SaaS, and we are a platform between both, no.
And I guess the buyer for this kind of stuff and the user is what, the HR department? Because companies at this stage, they don't have an IT department, right? In charge of this.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
it's office managers a lot, sometimes HR, and sometimes under the validation of CFO.
What's your target or your average like client in terms of size? Startups or not, or traditional SMBs or whatnot? In which size range?
Yeah, I think we do like small and medium company from 5 employee to 500, no? And yeah, we have quite a lot of tech, no, like of startup. I think it makes sense to take us when you are growing and there's some velocity a bit, no? So if you are really stable at, 20 companies for the last 3 years and not moving so much, we create less value. I think we create a lot of value when, like you are hiring in multiple, like a few people per year, or some people are in different cities, or some people are working remotely. So it's a bit some complex operation in terms of onboarding employees. So I think we create most value there.
And then regarding also the unit economics, I'm curious, like from a company perspective. So if I'm like a client, I say, okay, I got a new employee. This person needs a laptop. I can either buy a laptop for 2,000 euros for this person. Obviously, I have the headache to maintain, to insure or not, whatnot. Or I can just like get your service and then I just basically get rid of all of these headaches. But how much more expensive it would be like that service in order to understand, for example, the amortization time or
Yeah, of
whatnot?
course. So basically, I think we are like 40% total cost more expensive than buying.
Okay.
But over 3 years, no? So if you buy a laptop, you pay 2,000 euros upfront, so cash out directly. if you lease with us, let's say for the same one, it's going to be 50 euro per month. So 50, 50, 50. At some point, it's more than 2,000, but for a lot of time, it has been less.
Okay.
This is one. Two, it's not the same scope of service, no? So if you buy this laptop, but you add some financing on top with a bank, it's not 2,000 anymore, it's more. If you get Apple Care, for instance, it's 400 euros directly. And Apple Care is less quality of service than our warranty. And then like you have access to the SaaS, you have some dedicated customer support and customer success. You have a lot of features. We manage also renewal, like at the end of the life of the computer, we get back your computer, we erase the data, we give you a certificate that we erase the data, and then we give it a second life. So, like it has some ecological positive footprint. So we do a lot of stuff like this that at the end of the day, I think, it makes the company win sometimes, simplifies their life.
And you definitely bring
and
value.
If you add everything, it's more expensive for the company to do it themselves. Yeah.
Of course. Especially, but what I see interesting here, it's really the CapEx angle.
CapEx versus OpEx, like it become a monthly fees. I think it makes sense. Also, like if you step back, when you pay someone like a salary, X thousand euro per month, then you need to give him a desk, like at WeWork or something. It's X 100 euros per month. And then it makes sense to give him a computer that work well, that is qualitative, and you pay it monthly. So, I mean, to me, it's part of, employee plus his desk plus computer. No? So it should be a monthly fee.
What about the team structure? No, how many people are you in the company, and more or less what departments you have and how you are organized?
Yes, with pleasure. So, we are around 30. So since we are bootstrap, we didn't grow too much in terms of number of people. A significant part of it, like 40%, is in product design, engineering, data. So tech in general. And then we have some sales, marketing, and a bit of ops and finance. Our HQ today is in Paris, but we are planning to grow more and more team in Spain, in Barcelona. We have like an amazing country manager there called Carlos. And we are building a team around him, focusing on Spain, but maybe one day we'll add some teams there also, like on other departments, to have a double HQ culture. And then we have some team in Germany, and we are looking to hire someone in the UK.
And what about sorry, Jaime, if I'm making many questions.
You go.
What about the competitive landscape? Both like in France and now that you're like moving towards Germany or Spain, because right now I can't remember the name, but it rings a bell. There are like some players doing a bit of something similar, at least in Spain.
Yeah, so I mean, for sure we have a few competitors, but not too much at the end. I think our competition is more buying versus pure competitor now. I think it's a big market. We are lucky to not have some massive competitor yet. I think we are currently like the leader in Europe in our category. And like there is no very big one in Spain, France, or Germany yet.
And you think this is a market of winner takes all or not? Or there are space for a few players?
No, I don't think it's a winner takes all market in the sense like there is no network effect or, like there is no strong barrier to entry linked to the business model, no? At the same time, for sure, when you grow a lot, like you develop a better product, a better brand, so you develop some, like competitive advantage versus competition, no?
And the very last question from my curiosity, from the business perspective, it's what about the client, the client acquisition? You do like outbound, inbound? How do you get new clients?
Yeah, we do both of it. So we try to develop a lot the brand, no, and so we do PR. We write some article. We do some content on LinkedIn. I participate to some podcast, and so on. No, so to develop the brand, we do partnership also with VCs, partnership with ecosystems. So this is more inbound, and then we do also outbound. We do both of it. And paid also, yeah. It's a mix, no? I think everything nurture each other, no? So there's several touch points. I mean, maybe some Spanish startup will listen to the podcast, heard about Fleet, then they will visit our website, then they will get retargeted on paid, come back, add us on LinkedIn, and at one point order, no?
Yeah,
Perfect.
and are there big differences in any sense between the different countries that you're in?
No, it's exactly the same product, exactly the same offer. Yeah, very similar go-to-market. There's a few synergy also from one market to another, where we have more and more clients that are in multiple markets, so we use them for multiple market. They use us for multiple market. So yeah, there is not much difference.
Okay, cool. So moving on, Alex, into the investment and French ecosystem aspect. I mean, this is actually something that I've discussed with Juanjo several times because of his experience with France, of what's going on there and why there's such a growth in startup funding, startup creation, the interesting projects that are coming out of France. I think I read an interview that said that as an angel, I think you have, is it more than 100 companies as an investor? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you think so? Okay, that means it's a lot. So, so what do you? So you've been active, obviously, in the ecosystem for several years. What do you think is going on? I mean, why such a growth in Paris, especially? What's going on?
Yes, so no, I think Europe is booming, not just Paris, and Paris is a big city in Europe, of course, on multiple aspects. So Paris is booming also. But if you step back, like I think, yes, Spain has been booming, Germany has been booming. I think, yeah, London and Berlin has been here for longer than Paris. So Paris is more catch-upping, no? But yeah, like tech has been booming a lot in the last couple of years. It has slowed down last year because it has accelerated maybe too fast. But if you step back, it's a very long-term trend, no? Like if you think there will be more and more tech company in the future, more and more software, more and more innovation. So it's normal. There is some financing around it, more and more talent going to it, and it's like just the future in a sense, no?
I wanted to precisely point out on that because when I used to live in Berlin in 2013 and 15. Then in beginning of 2015, I moved to Paris. And by then, my perception was that there were two main hubs in Europe of a startup, tier one cities, let's call it, were London and Berlin. And then Paris was like tier two, was not at the same level of those. There were things happening, but it was not bad. Maybe a bit more than Barcelona, but Barcelona and Paris were about the same level back in 2015. This is my perception. But then if you look at it like nowadays, my perception is that Paris is really at the same level than London and Berlin. It has caught up. So my question to you is that, do you think, what was the secret sauce for this to happen? What are you mentioned obviously like a few generic conditions, no, like talent, I don't know, the tailwind and in many aspects and so on, but do you think really this is like a political thing? Do you think that it's like a talent thing was like the biggest factors which made it happen? Because to me it's like really impressive. It's like something that the French should congratulate themselves because they really caught up. This has already happened. I would love that happened in Spain also, for example?
Yes. So no, I agree with you. I think now Paris is catch up with Berlin. I think it's even a bit above Berlin now for tech hub in Europe. It's still behind London, I think. Why? I think we have some talents, no, like some good engineering school, like Polytechnique, Central. We always had like some good schools for like business and engineer. I think people got attracted a lot by tech in Europe in general, and specifically in France with Rocket Internet. So many people start go more and more in tech. We had some first win also, like I think that became some examples, like BlaBlaCar, Doctolib, that became some example for some generations. I think, government has played a positive role. So they created a bank called BPI that finance a lot of stuff in France and funds.
One question
then,
about the BPI
yeah.
is it like a public debt or not really debt? It's just like
I think they do both, but debt and equity, it's almost a sovereign fund. It's not a fund, but it's a public bank, and they finance debt, equity for companies, no? Not
it's a
just
bit like
tech,
our
but
ENISA, but with steroids, very much. I'm just like saying
yeah.
that for
So
the
I
the
think it was
listeners.
a good decision political to merge. It used to be like two different entities, and they merged it, and they put at the head like someone very talented with a strong vision. So like the bank has been a differentiation. Government has been pushing for tech for sure. And then I think some other, what I've seen a lot is like some industrial, some, all family also, has start to play some roles, positively into tech. So Publicis, the guy at the head of Publicis called Maurice Levy created Vivatech. Vivatech is a big European event, a tech conference that happens yearly, based in Paris. So this has been so we have a bank, we have one event, Vivatech, and then we have a place called Station F that has been created by Xavier Niel, who has founded Free is a telco companies in France, telecom. So he created Station F, which is like the biggest startup campus of Europe, of the world, maybe, with 1,000 startups. So this became also a big place where, like people start going, So I think this guy have been very influential in tech, Xavier Niel. He created also a small fund called Kima, where I invest, maybe they do 2 or 3 deals per week. So they start doing pre-seed check in everyone, no? So he has been, I think, a very strong contributor to the entrepreneurship culture of France. So all this has been contribution. I think also there's some global, acceleration of tech where fundraising have been growing globally, not just in France, but in all Europe, in the US. And so US has been growing, Europe has been catch-upping to the US, and within Europe, Paris has been catch-upping to London. But if you step back also, Paris is like one of the biggest cities of Europe in terms of number of population, GDP per capita. So it's a big hub on multiple things, not just tech. So there's some reason also it catch up a bit to London and Berlin, I think. So I think it's both, internal and external, no? External, like global trend into venture, and internal, some positive stuff that happen in France.
No, very, very interesting analysis. Thank you. To me, again, it's really really saying it very humbly, the mirror we should look at in Spain to in a way say, okay, this is like possible from many different aspects, no? So very, 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 very nice. I'm very happy for you guys, obviously.
Thank you. No, I think also difference between Spain and Germany, and something we have in common with the UK. And I think it's positive for the ecosystem, but I'm not sure if it's positive for the countries, is that everything is concentrated in one city, no? Versus in Germany, it's spread. There is some stuff in Berlin, some stuff in Munich, some stuff in Frankfurt. In Spain, Barcelona and Madrid are two big hubs, no? And almost equivalent, no? In France, everything is in Paris. In the UK, everything is in London. And when everything is at one place, like there is more synergy. So, like we have one big place called Station F, one big event called Vivatech. So everything is at same place. So everything can be bigger, no? When it's at two different places, it's two smaller things. So
yeah, this has pros and cons, as you have said.
this has pros and cons. This has pros and cons. No, I think it makes the ecosystem of Paris more powerful, but as a country, I can understand also it's not positive on all aspects. No?
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. As I said before, it's something that I've mentioned to Juanjo and I've discussed with Juanjo before because, I mean, from the outside, I'm by no means an expert in the French ecosystem, but I think two things, I mean, raise my attention or call my attention. One is quality of products being built, both B2C and B2B. And I think, for example, I don't think Europe has been especially big in creating consumer products. I mean, besides Spotify, Klarna, and a few things. But then, if you look at the mobile space from a few years ago, there's been some very, very large companies and very good products out of France. Maybe that's related to engineering talent and product aesthetics and stuff like that. And then the other one that is obvious, especially in more recent times, is the whole AI space. I mean, Llama 2 pretty much, or Llama in general from Meta, was pretty much built with French engineers in the French office of Meta. Now you have Mistral and a lot of other things. So as Juanjo was saying before, I mean, this is probably something that has been brewing for many, many years, but I think it's very good to see from the outside what has been happening and also what Spain can do or what things Spain can replicate to try to get there or have a similar market with differences, obviously, but at some point in a few years down the line. Alex, and so moving on to the last topic that I wanted to discuss with you, business angel activity. Tell us a bit more about how you approach that.
Yeah, with pleasure. So business angel activity, to me, it's more passion or hobby. I really love being surrounded by entrepreneurs and investor. I learn a lot from them, and I love ambitious people that want to build things and change, have some impact. So I really enjoy it. So pretty naturally I start to invest quite a lot of money that I have, like a big part of it initially, and then became good for Sequoia. And really enjoy doing it. To me, it's a pleasure to try to help them and be part of their journey. I'm trying to bring them some value. Like since now I have 100 company in portfolio. I build my own startup, so I have some learning on how to build a startup, to bootstrap. I've seen a lot of startups like investing in them. And I have also a very large network because Fleet, we have plus 1,000 clients. Many of them are startups. I have 100 startups in portfolio. I can invest with almost every fund. I'm quite close to Sequoia, but also Index, Axel, all the venture firms. So I try to help entrepreneurs, with accessing all my network and making some intros and being some sort of super connector.
When did you start investing, Alex? And how was it? How was the beginning of your career as a business angel? Was it like a hobby? Was it like really the financial angle to diversify the very first cash that you made? What really motivated you? I'm not saying now you really discovered it, but at the very beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, I started when I was still at Ironhack. I did my first investment. I got the chance to invest in a very good company. First one was very nice, called Convelio. I invested along Global Founder Capital, the founder of Rocket Internet. They offered me to be a board member from the seed to the Serie A. And I really enjoy it, like being at the board, looking at stuff. So I did this. And then it became, like a passion, I start to do more. And it was more for the passion than for the financial angle.
And so that happened when you were in Ironhack, so 2017, 2019. So you've been investing for 5 years, pretty much. So you're doing around 20 investments per year, plus minus, no, something like that.
Yeah, so it has accelerated a lot, but today I'm more doing 30, 35.
Okay. Very similar career and paths we have, because I started investing in 2019. I also have like over 100. Yes, I started with less, and now I'm more like really around like your figure. So I mean, we should have like a call of this podcast too, because we have
to
very similar.
exchange deal flow with pleasure. Yeah,
definitely. And to learn from each other a bit.
And you mentioned, Alex, the Sequoia Scout thing. For those in the audience that don't know how this works or why it makes sense for you, can you explain a bit more how those type of programs work for business angels?
Yeah, basically it's a community, of people that can invest along Sequoia, and they give you some money to invest, and you can invest from there. It's a very nice community with very interesting scouts, and you learn from each other, and it's a great opportunity.
So as an angel, you invest their money and your money, or how does it work?
Honestly, it depends. It depends. It depends. It's I mean, there is no hard rules on anything. So.
Okay. And then if you invest their money or the money that Sequoia gives you, I guess that you can keep a percentage of that as carry, so as future benefit?
Yeah, so it's a bit confidential agreement. I can't really
disclose.
I can't really disclose stuff, but basically no, I'm very excited to be part of this program. Like, I'm even more excited to me it has been an honor, to be selected to work with them, so I mentioned when I was in private equity back then, I start looking at the startup world, and discover startups, and then I got attracted by two companies, I start looking on Google. I watch a documentary called Something Venture. It's amazing. I really recommend. It's on the creation of venture capital. Because I was in private equity and I thought, it's very old school, like we are wearing, like suits, putting ties. It's very formal, like we are very attracted by very old school companies, and something is happening in tech. So I watched this documentary called Something Venture and discover venture capital. And then I got really attracted by Sequoia. I discovered their website, like all the companies I've been backing, and by Rocket Internet, who back then was launching a ton of startups all around, and decided to apply to Rocket Internet because Sequoia was not linked in any way to Europe at this time. But a few years later, when they offered me to be a scout, I felt very, touched and honored to join such a to be close to such a legendary firm.
Yeah. Are you the only bootstrap founder in the program?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never thought of it.
Just curious. Alex, so before we wrap up, I mean, the two usual questions that we ask every single guest that comes to the podcast: can you recommend a book or some form of content? And can you also suggest someone to invite to the podcast that hasn't been on before?
So I don't know if he has been, but we have been discussing about him. But what about inviting Gonzalo Manarique?
Yeah, Gonzalo was here a long time ago. I think he was actually one of the first guests. So I think it probably makes sense to have him back. Yeah.
makes sense also. It might make sense also because I know they are like really doing some very big changes on Ironhack, very exciting and challenging times ahead. So it could be great, like to that he explains a bit about the new things they're doing. Could be.
And no, otherwise, yeah. So I would have said Gonzalo, and no, one of our clients very successful is SeedTag.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Jorge from SeedTag?
Yeah, Jorge and Albert. They also were on the podcast, but also long time ago.
Ah, sorry. I'm just
No. We can bring them back. We actually like to bring back people from our first few episodes because things change fast, so they always have interesting stuff to tell or to share.
What about from your networking in France? Somebody who you might think like it could be like really interesting for us, like to interview. Doesn't need to be Spanish.
Someone from France?
France or somewhere else?
Let me think. It would be great if you can get Oliver somewhere from Rocket Internet, no? And ask him.
We can try. Yeah.
Ask him how is it going now, Rocket Internet, and what are they up to, no?
Okay, we'll try.
A good one.
And content? Anything that you've read recently or listened to or watched that you would recommend?
Yes, I'm a big book reader myself. I read a lot of, especially not business book, but like business in a sense. But so, for instance, I read one very nice on venture capital industry and venture capital history, and I really recommend it. It's amazing. I think it's called The Power Law.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good one. So I would say this one, as we discuss venture, it's a good book to read.
Okay. All right, Alex. Thanks a ton for your time and congrats on what you guys are building.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for
Thank you, Juanjo.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jaime.